Hello, wherever you might be. This is Kunku TV again. In our previous video, we looked at the oral tradition, and today I will take you through the written history. Now, when they say written history refers to the writing of historical documents, information, in the form of books, in the form of journals, in the form of articles, in the form of reports, photographs, etc. Now, written record is considered as one of the most important and reliable source of history once the facts are written down properly. You understand? Um, in the Gambia, if you go to the National Archive in Banjul and National Center for Arts and Culture, you'll be able to have access to information that has been written down in the past in the archive there, and the National Center for Arts and Culture during the colonial period and also the post-colonial period. This form of history, can keep our tradition and customs, for so long, that is from one generation to another without a change in the context and in the manner in which it has been written down. Now, reading history also has some advantages as well as disadvantages. Now, let's look at the advantages first. Now, either they call it as advantages, or you call it as merits, or you call it as importance. Now, the first importance is that written history is very, very easy to use. Now, you can carry the written information from one place to another. You can carry your books, you can carry your diaries, you can carry newspapers, which cannot be possible when it comes to non-documentary sources. Now, the second thing is that it is accurate and also it is reliable. Now, this thing has to be dependent on the way the way or the manner in which the information is written down. You understand? So written records, give accounts of how the information or how the event occurred, which is more reliable. Now, for example, when you call for a meeting, the minute that is taken down usually captures or covers the exact place. It also indicates the date that it happens, etc. So if you have your own diaries also highlight some events as they happen or later on. So this helps historians to avoid guesswork. Now the third one is that it is a very important means of keeping records, you understand, in the past. Now people rely on oral tradition in the past for keeping events that happened in the past, which is very difficult as memory can get old. But now when it comes to written record, it is considered as the most effective way of keeping records, etc. The next thing, the fourth point, is that in written records, it provides a very detailed information of the past than oral history. Now, in the documentary sources, it can feature some names of events, names of people. It can even provide pictures. It can provide dates and illustrations, just as how the thing happens. Like we talk about independence of the Gambia, you can see the pictures of Karawa Jawara, President Jammeh, President Adama Barrow, addressing the nation and stuff like that. So all those things can be provided with written record. The last thing I will look at on the advantages is that in written record, it helps to promote research. Now, by that we mean that if, for example, an individual has carried out research on a particular thing, and you feel there is a gap, then there's a need for you to carry out another research in order to fill that particular gap. So you can make further research about that particular topic, thereby you are contributing to the promotion of what knowledge. Now, the next thing is the disadvantages, or some call it as weaknesses, demerits, or limitations of written records. Number one, it is very vulnerable to destruction. When there is fire, when there is water, termites can also destroy it, or rodents, etc. So unlike the oral tradition, this doesn't happen there. Termites and rodents can destroy a very valuable part of the book if it is not properly kept. In written record, there can be bias when the information is written down, or sometimes the information are distorted. The writer may deliberately, write in a way that actually, suit his own preferences, or sometimes they leave out certain important, past events. For example, some books written by Europeans, European writers may actually, portray the slave trade as blessings for the people of West Africa, while others may see it as a different perspective. So sometimes the information written down can also be biased. It is also very expensive. In that we mean it's costly. Documentary materials like books can be very expensive to buy. The papers that you use, the diaries, the pens, etc. It requires money. So if you don't have money, you will not be able to carry out certain things. Now, another limitation is that people who are illiterate, people who are not educated, who cannot read and write, they find it difficult to get information based on that. So actually, there is a limitation on that aspect. Because if you look at African history, to be able to reconstruct African history, it becomes meaningless, because when someone cannot read, when someone cannot write, therefore only a small portion, of the population will be able to understand certain historical context. The next thing we look at is going to be false information. One of the drawbacks or the limitations or demerits of written sources is that they may contain some exaggerations or prejudices. When information is written down, people tend to take it as fact, even though it may not have been, properly cross-checked. Sometimes, let me tell you one thing. It doesn't mean that whatever is written down is true. Sometimes, certain information that are written down are all false. They are all bogus. They don't even carry water because they haven't been cross-checked. Someone has just sit down at the corner and just write anything the person wishes. So, not all written information should be taken as historical truth, because sometimes certain people write certain things to suit their level. So basically, this is about written history. In our next video, inshallah, I will look at the ancient remains or the archaeology, inshallah, while looking at both advantages and also disadvantages. So please subscribe to the channel and also share, comment, and also like the videos. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.